Hi, we're going to talk about how best to engage consultants and advisors, specifically in Hong Kong, but this can also go across various jurisdictions as well. So, first of all, why? Well, the benefit of having a fractional commitment is that you could have someone who typically you couldn't afford. And actually, you don't need all of their time, just work for you part time. So, that might be a day a week, it might be a day a month. This can give you the best of the talent pool out there and really help you engage with people who can drive value and execution within your business. That resource typically is very focused. Most people who do this for a living, me for example, are entirely productive, are not spending their day whilst on their payroll doing other things or distracted. They just want to get the job done as quickly as possible and provide you what you need. Often you can get better contractual terms than an employment agreement, and you can protect your right to the business incredibly well. And overall, it's a very flexible structure. You can get what you need for the price that you need. So very key contracts and terms. You have to have a contract. It's vital. Without it, you're not protected. And that puts the business at risk of lots of things. So first of all, remuneration in terms of payment. What are you going to pay them? How often are you going to pay them? And is this tied into any kind of deliverables? For example, if you are outsourcing software, are there stage payments based on milestone completion? Scope of services in as much detail as possible. What are you expecting from them? And I think this is a great way to make sure that you have transparency over your expectations and what they can deliver. This will lead to a very good engagement and relationship. You need to know how you can terminate on both sides. What's the notice period? Is there any payout? What happens when the termination occurs? Confidentiality. Now, you may have already signed an NDA with them, but I think it's worthwhile repeating and make sure that your data is confidential. Publicity up here as well. Do you have the right to say that they're one of your advisors or that you're working with them? And equally, do they have the right to say that you're a client of them? Can they do that with your permission? Or can they just do it randomly and they don't have to give you notice? That's important. Next is intellectual property. Very important to specify who owns the intellectual property that comes out of this engagement. And then reuse. If they come up with a big financial model, can they reuse that for other clients, or does it belong to your company and they cannot reuse it? Ownership and access. I think especially in the software world, who is owning the underlying code or IP being corrected, and who's got access to it. What I say to a lot of clients is, if this is all being created, say on an AWS server or similar, you should actually be paying for that server and you should have master rights to it. So if you do terminate, you can just cut their access off straight away, and there is no risk of you not getting access to this data. It's all very well in a contract saying that the other party will hand over all the code that's been done, but you actually have to enforce that. So I think you should anticipate the worst and ensure that you have access all the time to what's being created. And that means you don't need to enforce the contract. You just take ownership and it's there. I think it's worthwhile having some form of meeting plan and milestones. Again, this is setting out the expectations and ensuring that things happen. Make sure the qualifications and skills are there. And if this is an outsourced team, talk about the team management, etc. Finally, any equity that needs to be provided. What's the expectation there? Now, lastly, the tax complications in Hong Kong. If they're an unincorporated business, you may need to report that income on the IR 56M. And if you're talking about awarding shares, that can be quite complicated. So you need to talk to your advisors to make sure that works. That's it. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you very much.